Visiting Australia from the United States, a Fulbright scholar, Elaine Kolb, as the song says, a hip crip. Welcome to Adelaide, Elaine.
It's nice to be in Adelaide. I'm enjoying this place, actually.
Why did you choose to come to Australia?
Well, there's quite a variety of reasons. One of them is that I've always been fascinated by Australia. Secondly, you speak English.
Funny.
Yes, that helped tremendously. And also I did some reading about different kinds of rehabilitation programs in Australia. And there's quite a few historical parallels between the United States and Australia that I thought things that work here might work in the United States and vice versa. So I thought it would be a good place to come to look into programs for people with disabilities and their families.
Mm-hmm. So you're working in the field, or are you, you're disabled yourself? Is it just your personal interest in disabled people, or are you working as a professional in the field?
I'm not very professional right now.
Oh,
No, I'm here on a scholarship, and so I'm traveling around. I'm not under any particular program. I'm doing it very independently. I do receive assistance and am officially based in the Australian Council for Rehabilitation of Disabled, ACROD. But what I get to do is to travel around pretty much on my own from state to state, looking into different kinds of self-help groups and advocacy programs, particularly for people with disabilities.
Oh. That's important. It's 1981, International Year of Disabled Persons. I suspect we run a risk of that becoming a bit trite. What do you think? It runs off the tongue too easily, and it seems a bit pataspastic today, in a sense, doesn't it?
Well, I think you have to go a little bit below the surface glory sort of thing, the glossy kinds of ads that we're used to seeing around the international years as they've developed. What I find more revealing is to pick up the newspaper, and it seems like day after day after day, all different kinds of social programs are being cut back. And this kind of has a reverberation kind of effect on everybody that is on the bottom. And I think you'll find if you look into almost any country in the world, a lot of the people that are on the bottom, a very high percentage, will be people with disabilities and their families, because it does affect a whole family.
Mm-hmm. From one of your songs, I think it's the Rolling Freedom Riders, I get the impression that you want disabled people to get together and be suburban guerrillas and really start kicking people in the shins.
Well, not exactly, but that image, I think, is an important image to begin to develop because of the fact that so many people for so many years were isolated, either in an institution or out in the community in their own homes. It was a shameful thing. It was everybody was embarrassed, the whole family. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It was that kind of a level. And that still exists with us today. It's still a level that oppresses a lot of people. And I think it's important that disabled people begin to be more assertive about what really is, to me, basic human rights. That's why I speak of dignity and pride.
Mm. I believe the other evening you performed at the Home for Incurables, which in itself is an interesting name for an institution. How did you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you, just when I first heard the name itself blew me away. If you can just think about yourself. How would you like to be able to tell people that, oh yes, I live at a place called the Home for Incurables? Well, I kind of view myself as incurable and hopefully infectious and contagious too.
Yeah, all right.
Because to me, it's important to demystify. That's one of the biggest problems I feel. There's a tremendous level of just plain ignorance and confusion among all of us. Disabled people also, because we have as much to learn about each other as most other people. For example, if you have a spinal cord injury, you very often don't understand the special problems that you might have if you had a different kind of disability, say you were deaf. It doesn't necessarily mean if you have one form of disability that you really understand what the rest of the population who are disabled also go through. So to me, we have, all of us, a tremendous amount of ignorance. And ignorance is fear, and ignorance breeds all kinds of awkwardness. Sometimes it's just people don't know exactly what to say. They're fumbling all over their tongues trying to say something or do something. They want to help, but they don't know what to do, and on and on and on. So I think that all of us have a responsibility to, if possible, use the International Year as a forum, but I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit more concrete than some of the things I've seen so far. There needs to be very basic kinds of legislative reform. There needs to be a complete overhaul of the whole concepts of what people are provided with in terms of income security, the kinds of equipment people need to at least have a reasonable shot at living independently.
Can I talk about your music for a moment?
Sure.
I take it that you were playing music before your injury.
Mm-hmm.
It was important in your travel on the road back?
Yes, for me it was very important. I started writing songs about 9 years ago. One of the songs that we didn't get on tape is called Forgotten Women, which is quite revealing in that I wrote it about 1972, before I was injured and before I went through all this realm. But it deals very specifically with women who are alcoholics and drug addicts and in prison and in mental hospitals and in nursing homes and all those realms of institutionalization. And so it's interesting to me that this has been a theme through my music and through my life, even before I was disabled. But particularly after I was injured, music, well, it's been almost an explosion of music since then. In the last 3.5 years, I've written quite a few songs, and I think some of my best songs.
Well, I like them anyway. Okay, 1981, International Year of Disabled Persons, and you're visiting Australia. Has there been anything which has particularly impressed you about how we treat or cope with, or however you want to say it, disabled people here in Australia?
What has impressed me? People always ask questions like that, and I never quite know what to say.
Has there been anything which has made you stop and say, hey, there's an interesting idea?
Well, most ideas, I think, to me, that are useful boil down to some of the words to my song, like "Let's Get Together." I think some of the forms within which people are getting together in Australia are very important and useful. For example, I think it is very important that there be coalitions across disability to include people from all different kinds of disabilities, and also to go beyond disability into other kinds of social disadvantage that I think those kinds of things are happening here in Australia, and I find it very exciting. I don't know how much of anything is really new. I think the forms that they take are interesting and new and exciting. I'm very excited, for example, about some of the things that are happening in drama and the arts. I think Australia should be very proud that you have films like Stepping Out and Pins and Needles and some of the literature that has come out, some of the plays that are being written. I think Australia has a lot to offer in those areas particularly that has excited me.
I know you're too polite to nominate anything as the worst example you've seen here in Australia, but perhaps, is there one thing, speaking more broadly about International Year of Disabled People, one thing that you'd like to see changed, one particular thing in society?
Well, I think the key to the whole thing is to provide people with the opportunity and the skills necessary to represent themselves. I think it's extremely important that people with disabilities be given the education, the skills, the employment opportunities, so that to be able to represent their own interests as much as possible. And for those who are institutionalized. There needs to be some form of advocacy, some kind of actual people who are taking their interests at heart and making sure that they receive whatever care is best for them as individuals, and that they have an opportunity, if possible, to come out of the institution and live in the community. But to me, it's a very basic kind of self-help and advocacy need that we all have.
Elaine, it's been a pleasure to hear your music and a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Elaine Kolb.
We're tired of being shoved to the back of the shelf, forgotten and ignored. We're tired of just sitting and watching TV, seeing things we could never afford. And we know all around there are millions like us, scattered throughout the land. Through too many years and through too many tears, we've needed each other's hand. So let's get together and work it out. You'll never know until you try. So let's get together and work it out, and we can help each other get by. Some can't walk, some can't talk, some can't hear or see. Whatever other problems some of us have, a big one is society. 'Cause it teaches you to concentrate on what is lost and not what we still can do. And when they tangle you up in lots of red tape, you could use some help to cut your way through. So let's get together and work it out. You'll never know until you try. So let's get together and work it out. We can help each other get by. Every day, children are born who need special help in school. Too many don't get it. They suffer neglect for life and they are branded a fool. No matter how old or young we are, most of us still can learn. And if you've been lucky all of your life, you never know, it may be your turn. So let's get together and work it out. You'll never know until you try. So let's get together and work it out, and we can help each other get by. So let's get together and work it out.